Courtesy of Cleveland.com, it has been over a month since two Division of Children and Family Services workers offered shocking accounts of abuse and sex trafficking of kids staying at the Jane Edna Hunter Social Services Center. But Cuyahoga County Executive Armand Budish has yet to publicly acknowledge a problem or map out a plan for how to protect youth. Instead, Budish and other DCFS officials have indicated they're powerless to stop it, according to Cleveland.com. The article titled "Reports Show Epic Failure at Cuyahoga County Children's Services Office," but officials say hands are tied, goes on to state that following the DCFS workers' allegations before County Council in July of unanswered phone calls to the child abuse hotline, assaults on staff members, and youth permitted to roam freely in and out of the facility to prostitute themselves or traffic other vulnerable kids in custody, Director of Health and Human Services David Merriman said his hands are tied. He told concerned council members after the meeting that the county is legally required to accept any child coming to the office but has no authority to stop them from leaving. And yet, neither county nor state officials have been able to explain, since then, what laws or policies support that position, or how they reconcile it with the county's responsibility to keep children safe while in their custody. At times, there have been more than a dozen children sleeping at the county office building because they're unable to be cared for at home, and the county can't otherwise find them safe placements in foster care, treatment centers, or other residential care facilities. DCFS staff say they're not equipped to manage them. Cleveland police reports show youth ran away from the building at least 135 times in the first 6 months of this year. The department is required to file a missing person report each time a child leaves the building without permission and note when they return. A sampling of those reports from late June reflected the revolving door that Children's Services staff say they face. They document juveniles disappearing from the building for hours at a stretch, sometimes in the middle of the night. In one case, 2 teens left to get fast food and still hadn't returned by the end of the month. Cleveland.com reports that they did not ask for records past June 30, 2022. Cleveland.com's article continued to go on stating, one of the reports also corroborated allegations that the no-stop policy was putting children at risk of sexual exploitation. It described a scenario in which an 11-year-old girl awaiting placement in May left the building with 2 other juveniles, thinking they were heading somewhere to hang out. Instead, she said, one of them raped her. They'd stopped at a park where, the girl said, the older teen threatened to beat her ass if she didn't perform a sex act on the 13-year-old boy, details of which were redacted from Cleveland Police's incident report. The girl said she didn't want to do anything but felt like she had no choice because the older girl had punched her before. When it was over, the girl said she walked back to the county office with her abusers and reported the rape to a social worker. The 13-year-old boy, who told police the girl acted voluntarily on a dare, is being held in the juvenile detention center on rape charges. The older girl, 15, was charged with coercion and contributing to the unruliness or delinquency of a minor. It's unclear where the case stands today, because the county shields criminal records involving juveniles. Deja Clemente, spokeswoman for the Ohio Department of Jobs and Family Services, confirmed that agencies are unable to detain or prevent children in custody from leaving the office building, but she failed to explain where that guidance stems from. Counties are not required to maintain a childcare room in their buildings, and the state does not have the authority to regulate how each county office operates, Clemente said. State law does not specifically mention detention restrictions at public children's services agencies. And it's unclear whether restricting a child's movement in and out of such a facility qualifies as a form of restraint, which the Ohio Revised Code and Ohio Administrative Code does regulate. The state prohibits children's residential centers, group homes and residential parenting facilities from using a wide range of disciplinary actions, including physical or mechanical restraint, except in extreme cases where the child is a risk to themselves or others. But a DCFS office building falls outside of that scope. Still, disciplinary guidelines in the county's Policies and Procedures Manual seem to apply that law by prohibiting substitute caregivers from using any form of chemical or mechanical restraint on a foster child or any device to prevent or restrict movement for reasons of punishment or for convenience. The county's policy says, strictly prohibited, forms of physical restraint could be literally tying a child down or locking a child in a room, closet, basement, stairwell, pet cage, box, or any enclosed area. Cleveland.com also reported in the article that the county expanded its provider list to give social workers more out-of-home placement options where they can send youth, including adding a third provider able to support youth with intensive or specialized mental health or medical needs. Those are the kids for whom the county most often struggles to find appropriate housing, Marcos Cortez with the Department of Health and Human Services told the county's Board of Control in making the request. Yet, staff continue to report up to 6 kids staying at the office at a time. Last month, DCFS started working with Family First Village to help keep kids out of the building during the day. The center provides youth enrichment programming and field trip excursions between the hours of 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. on weekdays. This month, the county also authorized spending nearly $27,000 to install 11 new keycard controls to various doors at the Jane Edna Hunter building, to manage access to some stairwells, some hallways, and the human resources offices on site, county records note. The interesting thing is, as the Cleveland.com article goes on, there is no talk about more reunification or more in-home safety plans. In fact, under Mike Duena, all Ohio Children's Services have continued to take in hundreds of thousands of more children every year, and most of those children never see their parents again due to the Kids for Cash adoption scheme that Ohio has in place due to Mike Duena. If Mike Duena spent more of Ohio's funding on reunification of children with their parents rather than incentive for caseworkers and foster families to adopt, Cuyahoga County Children's Services office would not have children sleeping in it. Honestly, Cuyahoga County Children's Services nor any children's services agency should be able to take custody of a child they do not have a foster home open for,